Welcome to Life Lessons Podcast. Thank you so much for joining today. I am Life with Marlene. I wanted to do this series and this podcast because I think it's important to share the lessons when you actually get it. I believe in paying it forward and helping others to pour that same love and consideration into themselves. So, welcome to today's podcast. I appreciate everybody who comes in. If you could like this and share this out. I know that there is somebody who needs this message. So thank you all so much. I'm going to start off by this podcast by saying that it has been a journey. It has definitely been a journey in learning to love myself. Every day it's a work in progress. We have to work day by day on learning to love yourself. It's not something that you just wake up one day and you automatically love yourself. It doesn't work that way. It's little by little, you putting in work, you doing things that you need to do, and then next thing you know, it just happens. It happens for you. So welcome to today's podcast. How are you doing, Boss Life Online? Welcome to the show. So, I will say that, in learning to love myself, one of the first things that I had to learn is that it was okay to be me. It's okay to be yourself, with the way that you look, the way you talk, with your own personality, that you don't have to be anybody other than yourself. And that's something that I wish I had as a gift from my childhood. I didn't grow up having self-esteem. I didn't. I don't know, I just went through my life. I really didn't think about how I felt about myself. I just was doing life, the best way that I knew how. But I didn't understand that you should have a personal relationship with yourself, and you should. So much people don't know anything about that. You need to know yourself. You need to get to know yourself. It could be a lot of the reasons why you are having certain issues with other people because you don't know yourself. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want. And we definitely have to work on healing some of the things that happened to us when we were children, even if it's not something you personally did to yourself. But when other people do things to us that hurts us, it breaks us down and it gets us stuck into having bad thoughts about ourselves, having bad behaviors, and it definitely affects your self esteem. It affects how you think about yourself and how you view the world. And if you don't know how to respect yourself, there is nobody that is going to respect you. So, in speaking about learning to love myself, I had to learn to receive myself for the way that I was. And growing up as a child, I remember looking at myself in the mirror and thinking how ugly I was. My eyes were larger than most. I've always had a very soft voice. you know, I looked at myself as a scrawny looking kid, but I had to learn to heal that inside of myself. I had to forgive myself for ever thinking that way about myself. I had to heal it and embrace myself and say, you know what? However you look, you're beautiful, you're intelligent, and you have a great personality. That's a gift that we have to give ourselves. We have to give ourselves the gift of self love. And nobody can do that for us but us. If we don't learn to have a good relationship with ourselves, we can have a good relationship with others. And for me, it meant that everybody doesn't have to like me. For so many years, I put so much time, so much effort into what does everybody think? And when somebody didn't like me, it really used to affect me. It affected everything until I got to like myself. Nobody else could like me. And for me, that was a very important lesson, that everybody doesn't have to like me. Everybody does not have to like me. And the same thing for you. Everyone doesn't have to like you, but I had to learn I have to love myself. If somebody else doesn't like me, it's not my problem. But I had to learn to be in that walk with myself and embrace myself and learn that I have to love me. I have to put in some work into that. I had to put some work into me. Yes, that's true. You gotta like yourself first. Yeah, and if you don't, I didn't understand that when I wasn't loving myself, when I didn't know myself, when I would put myself down and say things like, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I can't do things, it's a form of self hatred. It's part of self sabotage. And until we learn to step into those shoes of, self love, and being our own friend, we can never do that for others. We can try, we can attempt. We always have relationships with people, but I learned that it was not always good relationships, because until you know yourself, until you like yourself first, until you know how to be your own friend, until you love yourself and forgive yourself for the things that has happened to you and the things that you have done to others, you can't be a gift to others. You can't be a blessing to others until you learn that you are a blessing all on your own. And until I learned how to be a blessing, I couldn't be a blessing to somebody else. So, that self love for me, it meant that I had to learn to say no to others to love myself. And this was one of the hardest things for me ever in my journey of learning to love myself, learning to say no, not trying to be everybody's friend, not trying to please everybody. And meanwhile, I'm miserable. I've always said that that's something that does not make any sense. How are you so interested in making other people happy, but it's at my expense? I'm unhappy making other people happy. So I had to go back inside of myself and fix that. Because I love myself, it means that I'm going to say no to others to say yes to me. Because that's how I prove to myself that I love me. And my self love means a lot. I had to start learning how to value myself, value everything about me, value my personality, value my looks, value my time, value my opinions. I had to learn how to be my own friend. And that's not as easy as it seems. It's easier for you to be there and supportive of others, but it's a whole nother thing when your own self is telling you, you need to sit down. Or why are you doing this for somebody else? And you need to do this for yourself. So for me, it meant that I had to learn to prioritize myself, learning to put my own interests back on the table, back on the schedule. I had to learn to see me and think that the things that I wanted to do, my thoughts, my opinions, my talents, my gifts was important enough to be a priority, that others, what they needed did not supersede mine. I had to learn that. I had to grow into it. Good afternoon, Estat. How are you doing? Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. I hope all is well with you. And that's one of the things that I really had to go into that deep part of myself, and I couldn't be a friend to anybody until I had to learn how to be a friend to me. And it meant, paying attention to when I feel tired, when I feel upset, recognizing my own imperfections, and what I can do and what I can't, and not being upset with the things that I can't do. I had to learn my lane. What am I good at? What can I do? And making choices that supported that, instead of me always, looking to the left or the right, what other people can do. I started looking at what I can do. And it changed my attitude. It changed my focus. It changed my perspective. It changed the light that was inside of me. I started to radiate and feel more energized. My light, my vibration was much higher when I began to focus on what I can do. I learned to choose myself. Learning to choose yourself is a gift. It really is. There's nothing like the gift of self love, and learning to not only like yourself, but learning to love yourself. And it meant being my own friend. And it meant that I have to choose myself. It means that we have to choose ourselves, and that other people will be upset sometimes. And I have to say, and that's cool. You can't make everybody happy. You can't do everything to make everybody always be happy. Meanwhile, you're miserable. You have to care for your own mindset, your own focus, your own life, your own responsibilities. You have to take care of you first before you can be there for somebody else. And that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn to stop putting everybody else above me. I had to learn to prioritize myself, my time, my friendship, my mental health, my physical health, my financial health, my spiritual health. I learned that all of those facets were a part of me, important parts of me. I had to learn to friend myself. Like people always talking about, dating other people, right? Dating people, being in romantic relationships with people. But until you get to know yourself, what you want, what you like, what you need, a lot of people need to learn to get into knowing themselves before they try to get into knowing somebody else. You're never going to be happy in a relationship until you know how to be happy within yourself. Hey, Nancy, how are you doing? Welcome. Happy Tuesday to you. People say men mature slower, but I had a strong grip on who I was, and my personal capabilities in my 30s. That's awesome, East. Yeah, everybody is different. Every single person is different. Um, it's all about empowering yourself, everybody. Empowering yourself. And whenever you get to that space, I think that it's just important that everybody gets to that space where they can look at themselves in the mirror and have confidence. Look at yourself and smile. Look at yourself and say, I'm worthy and capable. I'm deserving. I have a purpose. I matter. I am valuable. So I hope that everybody gets to be in that space. If you're not already in that space, I hope you get to that space soon by taking some time and being by yourself and embracing you. Embracing you. That, being yourself is always good enough. Coming from a big family, I definitely had a problem with being my own friend. Um, I was always raised that your your family is the first priority, when that's not the truth. It's definitely not the truth. God is supposed to be the first priority. Then comes you. But I had to learn that. I had to learn that for myself, because if you don't connect first spiritually, then you can't connect with who you are, and then you can't feed and pour into somebody else. So it was a life lesson. It's something that definitely had to grow into, learning me, learning what I wanted, learning what I deserved, and even just saying that out loud, that I deserve to be happy. That was a new concept for me. It's not that I didn't want to be happy, but I didn't feel that I deserved to be happy. It wasn't even a thought that I fathomed. It never came to my to my thoughts that I deserved to be happy. I just always thought about making other people happy and being a good person, being a good woman. My parents always poured those values into me. Be a good person, treat other people in a nice manner. And I've always stood on those values and been proud of that. But I was not applying that same thing to myself. While I was so busy pouring out into others, I wasn't pouring anything into me. And that's when you get empty inside. That's when you get certain illnesses. And if you don't sit down sometimes, if you don't sit down, then sometimes situations have to happen that forces you to sit down. And that's what happened with me. I was putting everybody as a priority before myself. So, whoever needs to hear that message too, we can be there and be supportive of everybody all day long. But if you don't support your own self, of what value is it? It's valueless. It's valueless. It really is. So you got to learn to value yourself. And it definitely means learning to support yourself. Support yourself. Support your own dreams. Part of loving yourself should be supporting yourself. There is nobody who should be a bigger cheerleader for you but you. You should be your own cheerleader team. Always telling yourself you're doing great, you're doing amazing. Learning to celebrate yourself. I speak about that all the time, having that positive self talk, and reassuring and reaffirming that inside of yourself, and speaking positive affirmations over your life, because you know that if you don't think positively about yourself, if you're not supportive of yourself and your dreams, and you're not listening to yourself, your self-esteem is going to go down, your health will decline, and your overall wellness will decline. Because if we don't prioritize ourselves, if we don't support ourselves and listen to ourselves of the things that we really want to do and the things that we really need, there's very few people in life that will tell you, you need to sit down, you need to relax, you need to get back focused and working on your dreams, you need to do this or that. If you have people like that in your life, you really do have a gift. You really do have a blessing. Treasure those people. But we have to give ourselves that gift as well, learning to support our own self, learning to applaud yourself, even in small victories. That's something that I learned in loving myself, is celebrating my small victories. And it doesn't mean that it has to be a big victory for other people, but we know when something is hard for us. We know when we struggle with certain things. We know about our own fears, our own worries, our own doubts. And when we overcome certain things that may have been a struggle, something that maybe you have a hard time being committed to, but you're staying committed to it because it is good for your physical health, celebrate that. It's good for your mental health, celebrate that. It's good for your spiritual health, Celebrate that. It's good for your financial health. Celebrate that. I had to learn the all the facets of me was important, not just focused on just my mental health, how I'm thinking, what I think about myself, but every part of me. Because if I'm not okay physically, I'm not going to be able to perform, to be able to take care of myself financially. So, all of it is important when I talk about loving myself. And when you talk about loving yourself, it's important to take care of your health in all aspects. Yes, Nancy. It's important to take care of your health. And I had to learn that. I had to learn to support myself. And part of that supporting myself was learning to be honest with myself, being honest with me. Whew, that one is a hard one. It is hard to show up with honesty with yourself, even when you know in your heart of hearts, all the way all the way deep down, when you don't want to do something, when something is not meant to be for you, when you don't like something, or you don't like the treatment of something, or you're trying to step outside and do something that's not really for you but other people want you to do it. Part of loving yourself is being honest with yourself. And the more that I became my own friend, is the more that I learned that if I don't show up honest with myself, I'm not going to be okay. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to get frustrated, and I won't stick to things. Most of the time, when we abandon doing certain things, it's because it wasn't really something we wanted to do. It's not within something we like. That's not your thing. So I had to learn that too in loving myself, learning to be honest with me, that it was okay. It was okay for me to be honest with myself. Hey, Shay Love, how are you doing? Welcome. I had to learn that. Some people act like they were born with that, but I don't believe it. I don't believe that at all. I think everybody has to learn how to be honest with themselves, because we get so involved with pleasing everybody and doing things that is not really things that we want to do. It's not really things that we like. It's not within our values, but we do it anyways to make other people happy. But if we don't show up being honest with ourselves, it's not going to be good for us. And eventually you're going to abandon it, or you're going to walk away, or eventually that relationship will end. Because if you don't show up being honest with yourself, you're not representing yourself in the best way. You're making yourself frustrated and upset for no reason. Don't get yourself involved with things or with people that it's just not you. It's just not you. Learn to be honest and transparent with yourself. It's okay. It's okay to be honest. Like my mom always says, there's nothing wrong with being honest, but you don't have to be rude. A lot of people don't know the difference. They just say, I'm just honest. There's never an excuse for rudeness. It isn't. You can be honest with yourself, you can be honest with people, but you don't have to be rude. Being rude is a choice. And I choose every day to treat people with kindness, consideration, and love, because that's what I want to receive back. I'm a firm believer with everything that I put out there. Even when somebody does something that's offensive, I always remind myself who I am, who I belong to, who I serve. I remind myself, even when it's difficult, even when somebody does something that is offensive to me, I always come back to the center of the core of who I am. Even when other people do wrong, don't change who you are. I feel like that was one of the biggest life lessons, and I'm so proud of that. that I can do that today as a grown, mature woman. I can be honest with myself without being rude. I can put somebody in their place, like my mother would say, in a nice, nasty way. I can do that because I'm mature. I'm not a child. I don't excuse poor behavior. I don't make excuses and say, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. No, you wanted to act that way. You wanted to do that. If you can't show up with kindness, consideration, and love to another person, you may need to do a little bit of self reflection. And I had to do some self reflection when I would pop off at people and I was ask myself, Marlene, why are you doing that? For what? We have to check ourselves. Yes, protect yourself by all means. Be honest with yourself. Of course, by all means, be your own friend. Yes, all of those things. But you can always get your point across and let somebody know how you feel without being offensive. You sure can. Let's see what I missed in the comment section. Hey, Realist One, how are you doing? Happy Tuesday. You don't have to be born with it, but some people do develop it faster than others. Like you said, everyone is different. That's right, East. Everyone is different. I've made plenty of bad decisions that some people have been able to witness, but at the same time, I was quickly able to adapt. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Kim. I appreciate it. Welcome in. And that's a part of my love journey, in this series of the conversations that I wanted to have. Basically, I'm journaling my personal growth, and it feels good to be in a space where I can say that I love myself, and I love myself with every fiber of my being, and that I make choices that show that, and that I can be honest with myself and not worry about, feeling guilty. I don't feel guilty because I love myself. I don't feel guilty because I prioritize my mental health. And this is something that I had to learn for all the years, especially my early teens and my 20s. The fun days, the partying days, the wilding out days, right? Those were the times where I wanted to be surrounded by so many people because I didn't like myself yet. See, a lot of times we want to be in a crowd of people so that we don't have to hear what we should be doing. See, that voice inside of my head that was telling me what I should do, I had to silence that because I wasn't ready to face that. I wasn't ready to make changes. I wasn't ready to come to, okay, face to face with my own self, what you should be doing. So I kept myself busy, surrounded by other people that, I knew didn't like me. I knew weren't good for me, but I didn't know me. And until you know yourself, you aren't going to allow until you know yourself, you're not going to let yourself win. And for me, letting myself win means when I feel that somebody's vibe is off, when I feel like somebody's wasting my time, when I feel that somebody's playing games with me or they're full of drama. These days I know when my spirit tells me something is off and something is wrong, I love myself enough to say, you're right, and back off. And I will. I had to learn to like myself, like my own company, and like to be just by myself. A lot of people don't understand that concept, going out by yourself, going on trips and vacations by yourself. Not that I don't go on trips and vacations with other people that I love, but I learned to embrace that time that is just for me. That's the time where I friend myself. where I celebrate myself, where I have my conversations with myself and my higher power. I think it's important to have those times where you just get silent and there is nobody else around you to distract you and to get into your head. Everybody needs those times as reminders. This is when you know, we encourage ourselves. We bolster we bolster ourselves to the next level of where we need to be. So, I had to learn to like my own company, that it was okay. I had to learn to reassure myself it was okay to be by myself. It was okay to do things by myself. It was okay. I had to learn to trust myself, work on my confidence and say, you can do it. You can do things by yourself. You don't need anybody. The only person that you need is yourself. You're strong enough. You're capable enough. You are able. And in those moments, in those times, I felt the most happy when I had those solo trips, even in a relationship. It's important to have your own personal time outside of your relationships. Liking your own company, spending time with yourself, learning to talk to yourself. Vital. It's vital, everybody. Hey, Raymond. Happy Tuesday. Thank you, Boss Life Online. Appreciate it. And this is one of the most important things for me. It was a really hard thing for me, but I had to learn to say, um, saying I love myself and believe it. It meant how I was treating myself. And it was hard to come to face that I wasn't treating myself the best way that I should. Settling for less than I deserved in all aspects, accepting a piece of crap job, accepting, just the little moments that people want to give you, their leftover time. I had to learn, talk to myself and tell myself, you deserve better than that. You don't deserve to be people's leftover. You should be a person's first choice, their first pick. And if they're not, they don't deserve you. I had to learn that. Stop settling. Don't settle. Don't settle in any relationship. Don't settle with your friends. Don't settle with romantic interests. Don't settle for a job. Don't settle with anything. Any relationship, if they don't value you, you need to value yourself enough to walk away. And I had to learn that, and not just staying around people because you know them or because you're in your feelings or whatever, for whatever reason. I had to learn to value myself and love myself enough that I had to treat myself good. I had to learn to show people how I wanted to be treated. Not taking care of myself good, how do you expect other people to treat you well? Show people how you want to be treated. If you say that you're a queen or you say that you're a king, how are you treating yourself? And I had to work on my walk with that. And for me, it definitely meant in loving myself was paying attention to my mental health. I'm not going to even cap. I'm not going to even cap that my mental health was really messed up around 2017. My mental health was really messed up, having lost three family members at that period of time. My mental health was not good, and I was ignoring a lot of things. Like, just I was pouring myself into work, I was pouring myself into business, I was pouring myself into school, pouring myself into helping other people. So I was showing up for everybody but myself, and that's not good. And I had to learn to pay attention to my mental health. And if your mental health is off, you're going to be off. Yeah. And my mental health was off, When you're in a space where you're really sad, or you're around people who make you really sad, or people who, even though they're around, you feel that you're alone, that's not good. It's not good. If you are in any relationship and you are putting in all of the work, that's not good for your mental health. That's toxic, and they need to go, no matter who they are. It could be your mama, it could be your sister, it could be your child. Anybody who is so disrespectful or rude to you, or feeling that they deserve to have certain things, and you're always last on the list, or not even on the list at all. They never ask how you're doing, they never prioritize you. You're the one that has to change that. You got to advocate for yourself. And you got to learn to tune in to yourself. Being into When I learned to be in tune with my spirit, when my spirit says no, and I had to respond back, believe that. When somebody's spirit was off, when somebody's energy is off, when you just like, it's something about them, I don't know what it is, but it's something about them, and it tells you to step back from that person, listen to it. We don't have to always know 100% of the details, but most of the time our spirit will tell us something is wrong with somebody before we can get on board with believing it in our mind. We always ask ourselves, why, how come? No, it is what it is. If something doesn't feel right, most of the time it's not. When somebody when somebody shows up and it's like, is something not right with them? Mm-mm. Or even the things that they've done. Don't just push it aside, or say they're sorry. The people will make excuses, and they will tell you they're sorry their entire life. They're sorry. They're always sorry, but they're not sorry enough to make changes. If somebody is really sorry, they will make changes. And most people won't, because they don't care enough. People will just keep saying they're sorry so that they can stick around in your life. And that's just what it is. They'll just keep saying sorry as long as you keep allowing them to stay in your life with their sorry self. And one of the biggest parts of learning to love myself was learning to set boundaries with others and myself. Until you set boundaries, until you tell people how to treat you, what you like, as how far you're going to go, people are going to do whatever they want to you. You're going to get all sorts of treatment. It wasn't until I learned to say, don't do this, and don't do that to me, and don't call me at this time, and don't talk to me like that, and don't disrespect me, and don't show up late to things when you say you're going to be on time. I had to set those boundaries, and every single person has certain things that they like and they don't like, and you have to inform other people. We can't make assumptions and think that people know what we like and what we don't like. You have to tell them, and you have to mean it. You don't just say, oh, I don't like that, and then you continuously allow it. You continuously go around those people, or you keep saying it's okay when it's not okay with you. Setting boundaries is for our benefit. Setting boundaries means you know yourself. Setting boundaries means you're aware of your light. And when other people are disrespectful to you, it causes your light to dim, and even your light can diminish. You can be in such a dark space, following behind other people, making them happy, doing things that they want, and years can go by and you can get off track, and you haven't accomplished that one goal for yourself, or you don't even, you're asking yourself, who like this? No. You got to prioritize your own self, everybody. Learning to love yourself is a lifelong journey. It's not something that is going to happen overnight. It's not something that people can teach you how to love yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to know what you like. You have to know what you don't like. You have to learn how to speak up for yourself. And you also have to learn to go ghost on people, you know. Um, take yourself off grid, go silent, turn your phone off, and have that time for you. If you don't prioritize yourself, nobody else is going to do that for you. That's self love, is self care, self awareness, self respect. If you don't do anything else, respect yourself. Once you lose respect for yourself, you will do anything. You will do anything. You'll stop having standards. You'll accept everything, and that's not okay. You have to have standards. You have to have things that you are saying, this is what I'm going to settle for, and this is what I won't. And until you have standards, hmm, people will make them for you. You better believe it. I know exactly what you mean. I was like that about a year ago. Yeah, exactly, Eastad. So, you know, that walk with yourself, learning yourself, learning to know yourself, learning to love yourself, it's a journey for the rest of your life. It's going to change. The things that you wanted and the things that you needed when you were a teenager is not going to be what you need in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and until, you know, your last days. You will always need to love yourself. It's necessary, and it's something that you have to work on every day. Every day you have to wake up, caring about yourself, getting focused, respecting yourself, and learning to forgive yourself. And that's where I think I'm going to leave off until next week, into part two. But I think it's important to have conversations like this. And yes, Miss Kim, you definitely have to train people how to treat you. You definitely do. You have to train people how to treat you. You have to train people. And if you don't, they're going to be training you. And you're going to be miserable. You're going to be unhappy. You're going to be in a bad space and complaining and angry and everything else. But remember, everybody, you have to make a choice to love yourself. You have to make a choice to be your own friend. You have to make a choice to respect yourself. You have to make a choice to say no and set boundaries and get focused and be your own friend and go after your dreams and focus on your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your financial health. That's something that we each have to do, and nobody can do it for you. Self-love is every day. So keep on working on knowing yourself, loving yourself, and friending yourself every single day. This is just part one. I'm going to pick up on part two next week. Thank you so much for tuning into today's podcast. I appreciate it. I hope there was something in here that resonated with somebody, something for you to think about, something for you to apply, and something for you to continuously focus on. Remember to love yourself. You get one you. Make sure you're treating yourself in the best way possible. I'll see you guys on the next one. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much, Miss Nancy. Everybody have a great rest of your day. And if you have not hit the like already, please hit the like on the way out. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye, everybody.